Hello and welcome to Todd Miller TV. I am here at the office of local attorney Ryan Alexander. Ryan is both a knowledgeable and a very prominent attorney here in Las Vegas. And so Ryan, what I wanted to do is talk about what somebody can expect given some different situations regarding maybe a foreclosure or short sale or something like that. So I wanted to start off with, okay, you got an average homeowner.
Okay.
Personally, they're doing great, meaning maybe they've got a job, they don't have credit card debt. Financially, they're fine. But a couple years ago during the boom, they got really excited and they bought a house for 500 grand, and it's worth 200 today. So, if they were sitting in front of you saying, "I don't know what to do," what are some of their options?
Okay. Well, the first thing we're going to look at, if they own a home and they owe $500,000. We need to figure out if they have one mortgage on the property or two. The first mortgage on your primary residence has a special protection in the bankruptcy law and in contract law. It's distinct from a second mortgage. So a second mortgage we can work with. The first mortgage, generally any type of bankruptcy that we discuss, we can't adjust a first mortgage. So I'll get back to that, what we can do about when you're behind on a first mortgage. There is things we can do with that, but we can't change the total value or amount owed on a first mortgage. So now looking at second mortgages. Okay, so let's assume they have two mortgages. A lot of people for a $500,000 house will probably have a $350,000 to $400,000 first and a $100,000 second.
Okay.
So let's assume they got a $100,000 second. What can we do with that second mortgage? We can use a Chapter 13 bankruptcy to strip off that second mortgage and cut it clean of the property, so that's not considered a secured debt anymore. It's considered an unsecured debt, like a credit card. It becomes exactly like a credit card. So this is in a Chapter 13 or a Chapter 11 bankruptcy.
So how does that work then with the rest of their stuff? Meaning, maybe they have retirement funds or they have other assets. Does that all can that be liquidated by a court if they don't do that?
Actually, good question. Your IRA and your 401k are exempt from the bankruptcy court. They're not going to look at that up to $500,000. And it's very rare right now that people have $500,000 in their 401k. Because unfortunately, and another thing, you don't want people to liquidate their 401k to save real estate.
Right.
Because that's actually probably the biggest no-no. You don't want to use exempt assets to save a non-exempt asset. Okay. But going back to it with the 13, so we cut off the $100,000 second mortgage is now an unsecured debt. And in a Chapter 13, we would propose a payment plan to pay back a portion of that, maybe a few $1,000s, over 3 to 5 years. Now, with a house that size, it's probably going to be a 5-year, 60-month payment plan. So they're going to pay a portion of their income, and it's going to be calculated based on what they're earning and what they're spending, and then compared to IRS standard deductions. In short, it's going to be a payment that you're going to be able to make. It has to be a payment that you're feasible, in a feasible plan. You have to be able to make that payment for 5 years.
Okay.
So it's not going to be all of your income. We're allowed to exempt a lot of it for your living expenses. But I'll be honest, in either a 13 or an 11, it does pinch a little bit. It's going to use up a lot of disposable income to pay for the second mortgage. But the good news is, at the end of the 5 years, you might have paid in $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, and your second mortgage is gone.
So if you want to stay in the house, and you're really upside down in it, you can basically use Chapter 13 essentially to get rid of one of the mortgages. Probably going to mess up your credit and some other things, but you could keep the house.
Correct.
If it was a real reason you really needed the house.
Yeah, that's if you really want to keep the house and you're really, the value makes sense. And you have to consider, just looking at the first mortgage, like we mentioned, you can't adjust the first mortgage with the Chapter 13. So just if you were paying only the first mortgage, would it still make sense to keep it? And there's a lot of situations it doesn't. And there's a lot of situations you probably still want to get rid of the house.
Okay.
But if it does, and you've invested a lot in the house, and you're comfortable there, and you don't want to buy another house for a while, then it makes sense to stay in and look at a Chapter 13 to remove the second mortgage and keep going with just the first mortgage.
Okay.
So that's something we can do for people who have a single house that's undervalued. And you can also look at loan modification of the first. And I'm not super optimistic about the loan modification process.
You're not the only one.
No, because frankly, banks don't want to do it. Banks just don't want to do loan mods,
Right.
and that's what I tell customers who come in and clients. The bank doesn't want to do it, and unfortunately, being different from bankruptcy, there's nothing making the court do it. There's nothing pushing them to
Right.
do it. Their choice is either give you a discount or take the house back and get the money from the government. And that's literally what happens. And in a lot of situations, the bank's incentive is to take the house back.
Right.
However, if you want to do something and try and get something taken care of with your first mortgage and get the payment changed, you're going to be looking at a loan modification situation. And I tell people it's going to take probably 6 months to a year.
It sounds like there's a lot of complexities, and it sounds like that a lot of it depends on the individual's situation and things like that. If somebody out there decides, hey, I need help, do you do how does it work if they come see you? Do they get like a free consultation first, and then you kind of see if you want to take them on, if you can help them? How does that work?
Yeah, all of the people that call me get a free consultation with me personally.
Okay.
So we'll set it up an appointment. They come in, you sit down with me, you'll meet with me. I have several checklists and questionnaires that I'm going to ask you to fill out. And the reason I need to understand that is I want to know the whole financial situation. And then I give everyone that meets with me a set of paperwork that says what I think they should do and what I think they can do. But one of the things I do pride myself on is not pressuring people to sign anything right there, and to go. In fact, I tell everyone, go home, talk about this with your significant other, sleep on it, pray about it if you need to, but you need to be sure that this is the course of action you're going to take.
So it's consultative. It's not a high pressure sales approach.
No. Most people need to come twice. In fact, most people need to come twice, because they need to be sure which plan they're going to choose, because it's not a cookie cutter approach, and it can't be just everyone that walks in get a Chapter 7, can't be everyone that walks in gets a Chapter 13.
Right.
And I tell people exactly what they want for their ideal resolution, but I also tell them too what the best resolution is. And just as an aside, that's something that's people come into an attorney, they say, what should I do? I will tell them exactly, based on the numbers, without the personal connection to their property, to their investments, to their house, what makes the most financial sense. If they want to keep the house and I say, you shouldn't keep the house, that's their choice.
Right.
And I still represent them, and I will fight I'll keep going and keep that house.
Yeah.
But also, I think it's part of my role as a counselor to tell them, hey, looking at all these numbers, I don't think you can maintain this house. And the best financial situation for you is to give the house back, and then these are the things we can do to resolve the debt afterwards, whether that's a Chapter 7 or still a Chapter 13. But the better thing for them to do is to get out of that obligation of the house.
So you're an advocate, you consult with them, and then you guide them through the process.
Correct.
If they want to get in touch with you, how do they do it?
You can call me at 868-3311.
Okay.
Or you can email me at ryan@ryanalexander.us, and we'll respond right away to set up an appointment.
Good. Well, thanks for letting me come here and giving the viewers all this good information. That concludes the episode for today. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next video.
Thank you, Todd.